China is a republic in East Asia. China borders North Korea to the northeast, Russia and Mongolia to the north, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Nepal and Bhutan to the northwest and west, and Myanmar, Laos and Vietnam to the southwest. China is the world's most populous country, and the world's third largest in total area after Russia and Canada. China is Asia's largest country, and dominates the eastern part of the Asian continent. The name China, used in several northern European languages, comes from the Qin dynasty, 221 to 206 BCE. The official Chinese name is Zhonghua Renmin Gengheguo, People's Republic of China, and is derived from Zhongguo, meaning Middle Kingdom. Geography and environment. China has a long coastline, east of the Yellow Sea, Huanghe, southeast of the East China Sea, Donghai, and south of the South China Sea, Nanhai. To the east, along the coast of the Yellow Sea and the East China Sea, there are large and densely populated alluvial plains, while grasslands dominate on the border with the Mongolian Plateau in the north. Southern China is characterized by hills and small mountain ranges, while the central eastern parts are part of the two major rivers in China, the Yellow River and the Yangtze River. In the southwest there is a large mountain range, such as the Himalayas, and in the northwest dry plateaus and desert areas, such as Taklamakan and Gobi. China's climate is characterized by dry seasons and wet monsoons, which lead to large differences in temperature between winter and summer. In winter, the cold and dry northern winds come from high-lying areas. In the summer, warm and humid winds come from the low-lying southern coastal area. People and society. The population is about 1.4 billion. Hankanese is the name of the largest ethnic group, which makes up between 90 and 95% of the population in China, and is at the same time the world's largest ethnic group. China also has more than 50 small and large cultural and ethnic minorities, mainly settled in the southwest and northwest. The annual increase in population is about 0.5% a year, about 60% live in cities. Life expectancy at birth is 74 years for men and 78 for women, 2019, in larger cities over 80. Retirement age varies somewhat, but is between 50 and 55 years for women and 60 years for men. China has an urban unemployment rate of about 4%, which in practice indicates that most people aged 20 to 50 are in work. Illiteracy in China is on a par with Europe, that is to say less than 10%. All Han Chinese, and several minority groups, use variants of the Chinese language. North Chinese forms the basis of Putonghua, which is the variant useful in media and education. Putonghua is useful in speech between users of regional variants that are not mutually intelligible. The largest regional variants, in addition to Northern Chinese, are Wu, Yue, Minbei, Minnan, Gan and Xiang. Other major non-Chinese languages used in China are Tibetan, Uyghur and Mongolian. Taoism, Taoism, and Confucianism are thought systems originating in China. Many will say that Confucianism cannot be characterized as a religion. Buddhism comes from India. Other religions are Islam and Christianity. Chinese thought systems are human-centered, as opposed to Abrahamic religions, which are God-centered. The value system deals with life as a human being and society with other human beings. Chinese are often non-exclusive in the practice of religion and thought system, that is, one combines elements from Taoism, Confucianism and Buddhism. In practical daily life one is often non-religious. Organized religion has not, in comparison with Europe, been a separate power factor in China, but has at times been used by the governing powers in the country. State and politics. China is a centralized state that has 22 provinces, 23 if one counts Taiwan, 5 autonomous territories, 4 urban municipalities directly subordinate to the state, Beijing, Shanghai, Tianjin, Chongqing, and 2 special administrative regions, Hong Kong and Macau. China has been our republic since 1911, when the last imperial dynasty was overthrown, and a People's Republic since 1949 after the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, took power after a civil war. The state apparatus is based on 2 power structures that can be found at all levels of the administrative division: the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, and the People's Congresses with the government and administration apparatus. The CCP's leadership is enshrined in the Chinese constitution. Some smaller parties are allowed as long as they support the CCP and do not challenge power. The CCP is the world's largest political party, with about 90 million members, about 7% of the population. In practice, everyone in the leading layer within regional and central government, business and culture is party members. The party holds many different views on society, economy and culture. Hu Jintao was president and head of state of China from 2003. Xi Jinping took over in March 2013. China has the world's largest army, measured in numbers of soldiers, with about 2 million soldiers in the standing forces combined in all branches of arms. The country has traditionally been characterized by a restrained and at times isolationist attitude towards the outside world. The principle of non-interference is strong in China's foreign policy. China has been a permanent member of the UN Security Council since 1971, when it took over from the Republic of China, Taiwan. China has been a member of the World Trade Organization, WTO, since 2001, and the Chinese economy has consequently become strongly integrated into the world economy. China is a member of the UN and UN specialized agencies, including the World Bank, otherwise by, among others, APEC. History. The history of Chinese civilization goes back 3,500 to 4,000 years, with the oldest written sources from around 1500 BC. This time is considered the beginning of the Chinese historical dynasty, and since then history has been marked by unification and expansion, followed by revolt and disintegration in smaller states. Nevertheless, China has consisted of relatively stable dynasties for most of its history. In the 19th and 20th centuries, China experienced both internal unrest and economic, political and military pressure from other countries. The last imperial dynasty was overthrown by a revolution in 1911. This did not lead to immediate stability, and the country was again divided between various warlords and political ideologies in the following decades. During the period 1931 to 1937, China was invaded by Japan several times. After Japan capitulated in 1945, civil war broke out in China. The Communist Party, led by Mao Zedong, emerged victorious with the Socialist Revolution of 1949. Since then, the Chinese Communist Party has ruled the country. In 1978, Deng Xiaoping came to power and started the modernization of the country. From the same year, the one-child policy was also introduced. The reform policy of the last 3 decades has led to major changes in the country's economy, and the poverty rate has fallen by more than 85% since 1980. Poverty is defined as living on about 8 krona per day. However, the reform policy has led to greater inequality, both between individuals, between city and country, coast and inland, and in access to health services, pensions and education for the people. The decline has also led to large-scale migration and urbanization. Economy and business. China is today the world's second-largest national economy, the third-largest certain one reckons with the EU. About 10% of gross domestic product, GDP, comes from agriculture, 47% from industry and 43% from services. China is the world's largest producer of steel, coal, cement, cotton, grain, meat and fish. The country also dominates the world market for a number of industrial products, such as a number of electronics, cameras, shoes and clothes. China is the world's largest car maker. From the end of the 1970s, a development of the economy began with the 4 modernizations: the modernization of industry, agriculture, defense and science, technology. This also meant a liberalization of the economy by adopting a market economy together with the communist ideology. The state's planned economy and direct control over the production apparatus before the various areas are reduced, but not removed. Special economic zones were established where foreign investment had freer terms. These zones became more and more after a quarter of an hour, and China used the resources from these to further develop the economy. Since 1999, Chinese governments have been promoting investment abroad as part of the internationalization of Chinese business. With this, the governing powers also hope in the long run to have better quality, more diversity and a better reputation for Chinese products in general. In addition to investments and acquisitions of industry, leading Chinese banks have also increased lending abroad, something that helps to strengthen China's role in the global economy in general and in individual borrower countries in particular. Knowledge and culture. Chinese art has been dominant before Ostasian art. Painting, calligraphy, architecture, sculpture and decorative art forms in, among other things, ceramics, bronze, jade and silk have been produced in China throughout the ages. China today has several internationally acclaimed authors such as Gao Xingjian, Ma Jian and Mo Yan. Some have had problems with Chinese censorship and are now living in exile. Chinese Ai Weiwei is considered one of the world's leading contemporary artists. China has a rich tradition in folk music played on traditional instruments. In recent years, Western pop and rock have also gained more foothold. One example is Cui Jian, considered perhaps the most important exponent of Chinese rock since the 1980s. China has the world's fastest-growing film industry, and is today the third largest film producer in the world. Education has traditionally been seen as an important method of social mobility, but the level of education has a low shallow poverty. The CCP has launched educational programs that since 1949 have reduced the percentage of illiterates considerably. Primary school and upper secondary school are free, while there is tuition fees for education at a higher level, with admission based on written medical exams. Chinese mass media are to a greater or lesser extent controlled by the CCP. All newspapers and TV are subject to censorship, and in addition, self-censorship is common to avoid problems with the governing powers. The use of the internet has grown rapidly, and China today has the world's largest online community with more than 500 million users. Censorship is strict, and pornography and opposition to the CCP are not accepted. Despite this, and within a reasonable framework, blogging, publishing and disseminating information on the internet via computer and mobile phone is a significant factor in influencing and changing Chinese society. China is very advanced with regard to the use of mobile phones for a number of services in daily life, for example payment for goods and services, messages, calls, audio-visual streaming or banking.